Welcome back to Stat 7 Sports. I am the Contained Kunas, and we are now 1 week away from whenever Roger Goodell starts making his picks in his basement for all the NFL drafts. So let me go ahead and join everyone else on the market, everyone who's interested in the NFL, and start with my first mock draft. And this will actually be the only one that I do, because yes, it's only 1 week away. But yeah, let's go. Let me put forward a little bit of my editing skills and start off with a little special something for the top 5 picks. Now, hope y'all enjoy.
Hey, bro. What? Oh my God! Nope. Nope. Nope.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
Well, that was a little bit less than I was hoping for, but after the top 5 picks, let's go back to number 6 with the LA Chargers. Just with a little quick rundown on that. I did see Justin Herbert from a lot of the perspective, everyone else saying that Herbert was going to be the second quarterback picked on the field, despite him definitely being rated higher. I mean, not as high as Tua, but with a lot of the injury concerns, and for Miami has more of a situation where they could, I could easily see them starting Herbert at quarterback earlier on than the Chargers. The Chargers have Tyrod Taylor expected to be the quarterback. I only have Tua going down to 6 and Herbert going to 5, but that's just a little switch on that. Then with the offensive lineman, I spoke on this on my top 5 rankings on it. The top three picks are kind of the standard thing. I'm not taking any draft trades into perspective. I kind of expect there's not going to be too many, just because all the draft boards don't really have as easy of access to be able to get a hold of other teams and be able to move around. So I don't think there's going to be that much on trading, at least early on. But back onto the quarterback. So Herbert's is going to be a situation where yes, Miami is still on more of a rebuilding phase. You think the Chargers are probably closer on, but Fitzpatrick, yes, he has shown to be a very capable kind of journeyman quarterback as he's been there, as he's played for every AFC East team and beaten the Patriots with every AFC East team. But Tyrod Taylor has shown to be a starter at different programs himself, and Tua will probably end up needing a year or at least a good half of the season to get reacclimated after having both of his knee issues from the past 2 seasons in college football with Alabama. So yeah, I'm going to say Herbert 5, Tua at 6. And the offensive linemen for putting Wills up first, it really is just kind of a taste of who wants what. So even though Alabama had Alex Leatherwood at left tackle, he ended up coming back. Wills ended up being the starting right tackle, but he's also played right guard. So for a team that needs the right side of the line, he's kind of the guy that they go into place. As the Giants always, like, they spent big money on their left tackle, Nate Solder. They have really nothing on the right side. It's been abhorribly bad. And yeah, so then we go to probably the biggest name, well, one of the biggest names of last year, not named Burrow and Chase Young, with Isaiah Simmons, the all-around guy going. I'm saying he's going to the Panthers. The linebacker safety hybrid. He could go as high as number 3 to Detroit, but Carolina needs someone to replace. What's the name? Luke Kuechly, and he's gonna be. Isaiah Simmons could easily be one that'll go as that middle linebacker just to kind of replace him, or they could put him out at safety, where his versatility is going to go very well in a mostly young defense. Then we go to number 8, the second of the offensive linemen, Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. Kind of the same way with Wills from Bama. It is kind of on the fit. Wirfs is one that can go out to be a left tackle, but he also did go a lot of right tackle as well. So they do have DJ Humphries, as in Arizona does, at the left side of the line, but he could easily fit in at right side, but he could also end up becoming a left tackle in the future. So he can work both sides of the line. And for someone with Kyler Murray's skill set, to where he wants to move outside the pocket, and sometimes he actually gets himself stuck into sacks. It wasn't, their offensive line isn't as bad as the amount of sacks should state, but having someone that can kind of protect the outside is definitely in their frame of needs, because Murray got sacked 66 times. Makes you think back to the old Texans days at the very beginning, whenever David Carr got into the league, and he just got obliterated until he couldn't go in the league anymore. Well, or be a backup to Eli Manning, winning a Super Bowl that way. Then we go to Jacksonville, and I have to go with Derek Brown. And yes, you think that Jacksonville, for a lot of their efforts, it's like you think they want to build up, try and get protect Gardner Minshew, because they've said they wanted to do Minshew Mania, and they're going with Minshew for the future. A little bit on that later on, because they have another pick. But even though a lot of times they've been building up on their D-line, they draft a lot of defensive linemen early, most of those guys are out of the way. And also for one guy who they put a franchise tag on him, but there's a lot of speculation that he does not want to be there. Giannis Ngakoue, their D-end, he's gonna get enough interest to where, even if, if he stays on, good. If not, they need someone in the middle to kind of replace him. Someone who can work with a 1 technique, 5 technique, 3 technique, and just kind of be a clog no matter where he's going to be with Derek Brown. And yes, with consensus, he is the top defensive tackle player in this draft. It's not really close, even though there is one that's a little bit closer than most people may have expected in the draft board on this. Now to end the top 10. After this, Baker Mayfield is going to have no excuses whatsoever to blame on why he is not successful. I get them picking a left tackle in Andrew Thomas, a true left tackle who has only been a left tackle, where Thomas will be able to start from day one. And while he may have the lowest floor of these top 4 tackles, he is the one with the lowest floor. He might not have the highest ceiling. So he should at least build up that line to where Baker's going to have time to get the ball out. Now, going outside the top 10, now we have the first receiver off the board with Jerry Jeudy. And really, you could interchange either Judy and CeeDee Lamb either way. It's just going to be on whoever they see as need. Now, I put him on the Jets for the simple fact that the Jets lost Robbie Anderson to the Carolina Panthers about a month ago. So they need someone that could easily replace Anderson and someone who's in more of a style for Anderson that Sam Darnold could go to. And Judy, while he's not going to be the extra run after the catch guy, that's not saying like they're very similar in draft grades between Judy and Lamb. So it could be Judy first, it could be Lamb first. Judy's going to be one that if he keeps his concentration on some of the deep balls, some of the ones that he has created separation, which he is very good at and probably one of the best, if not the best in the draft, and the best route runner, and there's more and more accolades go back to my other video on it. I can leave that link in the description. But yeah, Judy I think is going to be a better fit for the Jets, and with the Raiders being the next one, I'm saying CeeDee Lamb will go to there because they want a big flash guy. They want someone who can make big plays, because if you go back to last year's team for the Raiders, their leading receiver in yardage was Hunter Renfrow. He barely had 600 yards of receiving yards. So they literally had double the production from their starting tight end, Darren Waller. So they need someone to get the pressure off of Derek Carr, take pressure off of Josh Jacobs, and the Raiders already have a plethora of tight ends on their disposal between Waller, between Witten, and former LSU guy Foster Moreau. That's your top three tight ends there that showed consistent playmaking effort in that position. They really don't have anyone between Hunter Renfrow and Tyrell Williams. That's not really names that's going to jump off the board. CeeDee Lamb definitely is that case. 20 yards a catch, 20 yards per reception, that's going to get interest into Las Vegas. Then, as I was saying earlier, the next defensive tackle off the board, Javon Kinlaw. Now, the reason that I put him for the 49ers is for the fact that the 49ers, yes, they don't have that many needs, but they did just ship off DeForest Buckner from to the Colts for this pick. So why not go for their replacement, which would be the second defensive tackle off the board from South Carolina. One that is he is a little bit more of a project where it's like, if you can get him to be more consistent, he is one that could be very dynamic up the middle and just cause havoc in the backfield, because he has shown spurts to be able to be just that dynamic run blitzer and just terrorize the pocket up the middle. And between having I was about to say Jim Harbaugh, but between Kyle Shanahan and his whole defensive scheme off of it, Kinlaw is just another piece that with some time could end up building up back into another full first-round pick D-line again and replacing Buckner very well. Then we go to 14, and I raised the flags for Tampa Bay, because now they have to end up building up their flagship. And the flagship they have to save and keep up is the long-term, well, not really long-term, but the very still option in Tom Brady, and that's where I'm going with Mekhi Becton. Well, Mekhi Becton, yes, I know that's right. But I do understand if people have a little bit of skepticism on this. Yes, Tom Brady does need protection. Becton is one with definitely the highest range of floor to ceiling, but he is one that he is 6'5", 6'7", 367. If he can keep his weight down and show that, especially his junior year tape was not just a flash in the pan, he could be the best left tackle in the league potentially. But it seems risky to be able to get someone who they need to start just really early on and be able to protect Brady's blind side. So, but still, I'd say Becton out of Louisville is going to Tampa. Then we go to the Broncos, where we get the third wide receiver off the board and the fastest receiver in this entire draft with Henry Ruggs, the third, also out of Alabama, as Judy is. Now, what do you think of the Broncos offense? What do you think of? They have Melvin Gordon. They have Philip Lindsay. They have Drew Lock. They have Cortland Sutton, who's really become their top receiver, but he really has been more of a possession guy, maybe like about 15, 16 yards, kind of a slant guy. They don't really have someone that kind of can press the defense deep and be able to just push the ball way downfield. So being able to have another option, and yes, I know they have Noah Fant at tight end as well, but just having to get a speedster downfield, as Cincinnati to be able to use with John Ross, amongst others, with early draft picks, Ruggs will end up fitting that place for Denver. Then we go to the Atlanta Falcons, where I thought about doing something that seemed to be a trend, but it was either going to be here or with the Cowboys on the next pick. But the Falcons really have two major concerns, two major needs. Cornerbacks, because they lost, they didn't re-sign Desmond Trufant. So they honestly don't really have either a one or two in the cornerback, in their secondary cornerbacks. So I think Henderson's a bit more of a need. The second option would have been a pass rusher, but personally to keep a certain pass rusher out of the NFC South, I decided against it. But C.J. Henderson is considered the second cornerback off the board. Like sure, there's a bit of differing field off of it. Like the skill set may put him around like third or fourth, but in someone who is going to be just a day one starter, Henderson's probably going to be the easiest to actually step in on their defense. Now, the one I was saying, the pass rusher, and going to the Cowboys, is Kellen Von Chassaw. As aren't LSU fans sick and tired of Chassaw and other LSU players going to other NFC South teams? You get the Duke Rileys, you get the Deion Jones, you get Dante Jackson, you got Devin White, you had Kevin Minter, and I could just make the list go on and on. Here's a little bit of solace, but I don't know if you really want them to go to the Cowboys too, but the Cowboys are also in that same projection. If I didn't choose this way, it would have been flipped. Chassaw would have gone to, I could see it being the opposite as well. Chassaw going to the Falcons and Henderson going to the Cowboys. Because the Cowboys lost Byron Jones. He got a big 5-year contract, $85 million to go to the Dolphins, and they would need a cornerback to replace him. But the Cowboys definitely lost some of their big boys up front on defense between Malik Collins and Robert Quinn. Collins going to the Raiders, Quinn going to the Bears. Both of them getting solid contracts. So I think someone to replace Quinn on the outside as a run blitzer and a pass rusher. Chassaw's definitely proved that in spades, especially during his redshirt sophomore year. Now going to 18. Ooh. One moment. We're back with the Dolphins with their first pick. Well, with their second pick, the first one that they got from in this offseason whenever they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. As Fitzpatrick was a cornerback safety combination, Miami couldn't really decide what they wanted to do with him. This is one that can end up replacing him, and yes, conveniently, he also went to the same college, but Xavier McKinney, who should be a primarily safety, to where Miami can't screw up Fitzpatrick whenever they didn't decide where they wanted to put him. But McKinney's going to be a solid option that will replace Fitzpatrick and just get some strong youth movement going up there. And it's going to be the first true safety off the board. Then we go to 19, as I was saying, with Christian Fulton going to the Raiders. The Raiders' defense was poor last year. They had to get Derek Carr to have his best statistical season in his career, and they still criticized him and what he was going to do. There's people trying to hope that Brady would go to the Raiders and trying to get the Raiders to draft a quarterback to replace him. And yes, they may draft a quarterback in the later rounds, but it's not going to happen in this first round. But Christian Fulton is probably the number 2 corner on the board overall behind Jeffrey Okudah. But because of his off-field issue where for his sophomore season that he got suspended for the entire year for having a failed drug test not a failed drug test, but he tried to pass off a drug test by getting someone else to do his drug test. It's going to end up bringing character concerns that, sure, once he got back for the first half of his junior year and all of his senior year, he definitely proved that he still has a skill set, but is going to drop him on boards, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes even further down. But being one that's shown to be very strong against top-notch competition between the Devin Duvernays, Texas, between the Jerry Judys, and I can go on and on with Henry Ruggs, not really Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle out of Alabama, and so on and so forth. He's shown that he can handle top-notch competition, and this is just a little bit more of a step up after that. Then we go to 20, at where I'm surprising y'all, as I said with Minshew, I don't think Minshew is going to be the full-time option going forward outside the season. I also don't think Jordan Love is going to start the season unless they end up going about 3-11, which could entirely be possible. Well, 3-10, and he'll start the last 3 games. But Jordan Love is definitely a project guy, as most people saw in his game against LSU. He ended up being a little bit too hyped in that game and definitely had a few high throws to where 2 years ago he went 11-2. He lost all his other starters on offense. He was kind of by himself. They struggled to get a 7-5 record. Not all on him, but he still had to deal with some lackluster talent on his team this past season. But he's definitely a project that very likely won't start this season, but going into 2021 season and going forward, he could end up being the quarterback in the future. There is definitely very wide grades to where he could go. I'm going to put him here before, even though I know some of the hype train has put him all the way up to like 6, but I don't expect that much. Then we go to the one that may seem that's been pretty much set up to where it's like everyone's agreeing he's going to go here. Justin Jefferson going to the Eagles. I know the Saints would love to get him here. If Jefferson falls to New Orleans, I would change my pick on him and get them to pick Jefferson because they could easily use another target, but Jefferson's definitely a number 2 receiver in the future. But for the Eagles, if you actually go back to their season last year, yes, they had a lot of their offensive weapons gets injured. But their top receiver last year was Nelson Aguilar. And with all the disapproval that everyone had of Aguilar, he went to the Raiders for free agency. With all the drops that he had and really the lack of production that he had consistently, they need another wide receiver. And Jefferson's the best one on the board at this point, being the 4th receiver off the board. But Eagles need a wide receiver. Jefferson definitely proved that it wasn't just Burrow, because he still had success back where they had Danny Etling, the only one that really had success at that point. Then we go to 22, and the Minnesota Vikings. I'm getting them with A.J. Terrell with their trade from Buffalo that they got for Stephon Diggs. Now, this one, I'm not getting to replace Diggs, but I'm replacing on the other side of the ball with A.J. Terrell. Whenever they lost 3 of their 4 starting defensive backs last year, Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, both their starting cornerbacks, they need a cornerback, another fellow cornerback to replace them. And I'm going with A.J. Terrell, the 4th one off the board. Then we go to 23 with the Patriots, and he's got to be so excited going out of Iowa. It's like, oh, he's going to the Patriots, a team that needs pass rushers, and one that's had a ton of success from ones that high to low profile. And Epineza was one that last year, well, going into this past season, could have easily been a top 10 pick. So I could easily see Epineza being a late first round gem for them. And sure, the Patriots don't need to have extra success at this point, but would definitely be good value at this point for an extra pass rusher. Then we go to New Orleans, and I did not pick them to get Jefferson, but I did get them to go with another LSU guy, Patrick Queen, someone who has flown up on draft boards ever since the later part of the season. He was thought to be a 3rd round pick going in, but 3rd or 4th round pick, maybe not even that high going into the season, but going into the offseason, he was still not considered too much of a 2nd or 3rd round pick because a lot of people thought he was going to have to come back. But I did have like 2 choices on it between 2 separate linebackers, which is really the top need for New Orleans, even ahead of wide receiver. One, it was going to be Queen, and the other was going to be Kenneth Murray. I would have switched the 2 spots. If I did this maybe about 2 weeks ago, I would have switched the spots of both of them and I would have had Kenneth Murray on the Saints pick. I'll show him further on in this first round. But definitely the hometown guy that the last time he was there, he did wonders at the Superdome in the national championship game. So then we go back to Minnesota, and here's the pick to replace Stephon Diggs. Ironically, both the wide receiver and cornerback, both from Clemson, but this one I'm going with T. Higgins on it. Definitely showing his versatility as a jet sweeper in that Superdome, the Superdome matchup in the national championship game, and one that can definitely spread the field, stretch the ball, stretch it downfield to definitely replace what Stephon Diggs did for them. Then we go back to Miami for their 3rd pick, and Miami's getting a quarterback this year. We know that. Miami's going to get someone on defense. That's very, I believe they're getting someone on defense in their 1st round pick as well, unless they decide to go for a wide receiver. They need someone to protect if it's either going to be Herbert or if it's going to be Tua. I don't think it's going to be Jordan Love, especially if they have both those choices there. But to replace Laramie Tunsil, who they traded a 1st round pick for to Houston, they're going to get another left tackle, being Josh Jones, as a later round pick with the one they got from Houston. So replacement for a pick they got, and going on to 27, we go to the Seahawks, and their biggest issue last year was basically all their defense and yes, their offensive line, but they have the biggest free agent left on the board right now in Jadeveon Clowney, but at this point he still remains unsigned and still expected to want an $18 to $19 million deal, which at this point I don't see happening. And Yetur Gross-Matos is the top defensive line edge rusher on the board out of Penn State. Consistent production over his 3 years at Penn State. So someone that at least can definitely replace some of the Clowney value, even though Clowney really didn't show too much in that push in the pass rush. But they need someone to kind of help Bobby Wagner and a lot of the people on their line, on their D-line as well. Then we go to, as I was saying, Kenneth Murray going to the Baltimore Ravens. They need someone that they need to replace C.J. Mosley, who got a big deal with the Titans over a $90 million deal. And really since they got rid of Terrell Suggs 2 years ago and Suggs retired, they needed someone to replace him. And Murray is the most prototypical middle linebacker as you can get in this draft. He's going to join the big trust and dance all over with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram. That could really fit right in. That's the main reason for that photo. Then we go to the Tennessee Titans, as I stated. They still have Logan Ryan, one of their top corners, mainly their slot guy as a free agent this time. And they need someone that's going to be able to replace him, being able to kind of control the number one, number two receivers. Not really a one-to-one trade on it, but really a number two receiver, as Adoree Jackson is the number one corner for them, and they don't really have much after that, especially if Logan Ryan isn't going to return, which at that point you go with Trevon Diggs out of Alabama, one that can definitely fill the basically be a placeholder at the time. Well, more than a placeholder. Then going back to receiving pool, this receiving class is one of the best ever. Definitely with the most very good depth for pretty much you can go probably through the top 3 or 4 rounds and get plenty of very solid receivers that's going to be very well acclimated for NFL play. And then we go into one that's going to be a burner, one that's going to get the ball downfield, Jalen Reagor out of TCU. As Green Bay is another one that needs receivers, someone that could really fill the gap that they've had with Jordy Nelson, that they had with anybody else that's not named Devontae Adams. Because really, Adams gets hurt. What they have, Adam Mazard, Geronimo Allison, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Not really much of names for Aaron Rodgers. They need someone outside of Devontae Adams getting 12 catches every single game and just get some of the pressure off of him. That's what Reagor will definitely do. Definitely stretch out the defense and maybe even give more targets for Adams. Then we go to 31 with the Super Bowl runner-ups, the San Francisco 49ers. As I said, very strong wide receiver class. And they need someone to replace Emmanuel Sanders, one that can get consistent yardage, be able to basically get yards after the catch, and also be a safety blanket. Chenault's a all-around guy who was very strong in the running game wherever they used them, and very strong big body receiver. Then to end out the first round will be our first running back off the board. The Kansas City Chiefs need another guy to complement Damian Williams in the backfield. Getting someone who could be more of a receiving target in the backfield. Yes, Mahomes doesn't really need more weapons, but it doesn't hurt. Because you really have, yes, you still have Williams, you still have Kelsey, you still have Hill, amongst so many others. McCole Hardman. But it's going to be not long until Damian Williams wants to get paid decent running back money. And then you have to deal with the Tyreek Hill contract soon. So having someone with more options for Mahomes definitely helps out. But that is the end of the first round, my mock draft for this. I don't mind y'all judging me off of this after this is done. Like once the draft goes on, I may end up critiquing a lot of my picks based off of if any needs change. And well, that's all being said. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, please share us out to other people. The draft is 1 week away. We've all been waiting for some true sports content, and any sort of draft is going to be just so nice to see. Even if it is going to be virtual, and even if it's going to be in Roger Goodell's basement. I'm sure some of us actually want to see that. But that all being said, thank you all for watching. I'm the Contained Kunas. This is Stat 7 Sports. I'll see y'all next time.